to be here with this huge gathering of steel industry stakeholders. And I'm sure you would all agree that now is a good time to be in steel industry as it is growing fast and steady. As far as fast is concerned, it is all right. But for steady, the latest development which you have explained, that global trade actions may be taken in past 2-3 months and the future actions. This is what I think that this required your part of your deliberations when you discuss that how it can be studied. Study on our side, we say that now we are the best export country for the last 2 years, but the agenda says that this may be replaced by less import country. But after 2 years, this plan, which is set by, of course, not by India, but by other countries, in fact, for the first part of 2018, and I am confident India will be the world's second largest steel producer for the year 2018. The agenda is, they are to set its own purpose. I was telling. We have just begin to the second quarter of the financial year 18-19. The first quarter consumption of steel has increased by 8.4% compared to same period last year. This is after a demand growth of around 8% in 17-18. Per capita consumption of finished steel increased by 12%. It used to be 4 years back 57. Now it is 65 kg per capita. That is by the year end of 2017. In fact, in the last 4 years, there has been a significant improvement in all major performance parameters. Crude steel capacity in the country has increased by 31% from 102 million tons in financial year 2014 to 134 million tons in financial year 18. The production of crude steel has increased by 26% from 81 million tons to 100 million tons in 2018. We are performing well, and it is very much comparing. Steel is placed at number 2 among the 8 core sectors as far as performance of financial concerned. So we only need to sustain and build upon this performance. 2018 is going to be a landmark year for Indian steel industry. Let us all work in unison with the target of establishing a firm lead over Japan in 2018. As far as crude steel production is concerned, US is also trying to revive its steel industry and will try to enhance production to higher levels. So the race is getting interesting and challenging, but I am confident that all of you will rise to the occasion. Steel products on the major initiatives that we have taken up. One is SRTMI as an umbrella body for all steel-related research and development and all kind of innovations in India, as we believe that focus on R&D is crucial for India to become self-sufficient and more competent in steel industry. Another initiative that we look is instituting first of its kind awards, that is awards for secondary steel producers to recognize their performance and their contribution to the development of nation. Both will be taking a final shape in the coming months, and as you also know that 57% of the steel produced in India, and that goes to the credit of secondary steel. And what they are claiming, when we talk of 300 million ton capacity and 255 million ton production, secondary steel claim that we may touch 70% of the total production when it comes to 255 million tons. Both will be taking, as I've already said, that this is for the first time we initiated the Secondary Steel Producer Awards. This may be the next month then a very important conclave we are organizing under our policy, 2017 policy, and this may be one of the events where we would be indicating that trade, which is an important factor for the growth of industry, steel industry. I must make a mention that when we talk of being self-sufficient, I give one example to that. Our budget of 2016-17, there was, as far as exports are concerned, we were losing our position in exports rapidly, especially these garments and all that, which are very popular even for exports. Then we pumped in 4 lakh crore rupees in the rural sector. And our intention was, when we are not getting, our industry is not getting sufficient orders because of overall recession, then why not to strengthen our domestic consumption in the rural areas? If a youngster in the rural area has the capacity or capability to purchase one T-shirt, why he should not have 2 T-shirts if he has this capacity? So that we pumped in that much of amount, and not only to see that the rural economy gets strength, but on that basis our trade should not suffer, our production should not suffer. So that is how, if we compare that initiative of ours, this time in our budget there is a provision of 6 lakh crore rupees, and roughly if we say that out of this 6 lakh crore, which is mainly for infrastructure, at least 10% of the component maybe of the which is to be used of the steel. So these efforts are not only to see that the efforts on our part as far as infrastructure is concerned should be expedited or speeded up, but also to see this kind of trend which is going on as far as trade is concerned. But this is the time and this is the place, this is the conference where these issues are more important. What I feel, my gut feeling is that as far as consumption is the area of concern, domestically we would never be, rather I should say that we would be touching 7 to 8% in times to come. I mean, after a year or so, or 2 years or 3 years. So that is not the area of concern. The area of concern is, are we in a position to have that steel which is required in the other parts of the world? One of the speakers made it a point that if we have that kind of steel, naturally, we cannot lose the status of being net export country. But there are other methods also which we decided, and our policy of domestically manufactured iron and steel products policy, as you all know, is succeeding in its objective of giving opportunity to Indian steel producers to prove their potential and capabilities. Foreign exchange worth rupees 5,000 crore has been saved as a direct outcome of the DMISP policy, and this trend will continue in the coming months and years also. National Steel Policy 2017 has given a clear direction and roadmap to the steel industry with a vision of 300 million tons capacity and 160 kg per capita consumption of steel in our country. The ultimate goal of the two policies is to enable Indian steel industry to become more competent and efficient. As I have said earlier, gap between China and India in terms of steel production is very big, so it will be unrealistic. But as I mentioned, to aim for number one in volume terms, but India must become number one country in the world in terms of quality and range of steel products that we are capable of, our industry is capable of. We are capable of attaining this position, and we must work towards it. The first step being self-sufficiency in steel production. In addition, Ministry is also working on two more policies. Scrap policy to ensure scientific recycling of old vehicles and white goods to recover usable industrial scrap, and to supplement, replace imports, and alloy steel policy to provide boost to the value added steel sectors like stainless steel, automotive steel, CRGO, electrical sheets, and other alloy steels. And this effort would also lessen the burden of Mr. Vijayendra Kumar, because there would be less mining, and we hope that if we attain this, we would be in a position to have a steel scrap about 8 to 9 million tons. And naturally, this would help us to keep our iron ore reserve intact to a great extent. Ministry, I'm happy to see that Indian steel companies have made several new beginnings over last few years. World's longest rails. Naveen is also, working on that, and only few days back, a delegation met me of the association of, I don't know the name of the exact name of the association. They were very much enthusiastic about this, that this anti-junk rail line, especially on the coastal areas, their replacement takes place after every 3 or 4 years. And in the other areas, the replacement may take 10 years, 20 years, 15 years. So they were saying that if they are given this opportunity, then at least 20% of the rail line, which is mainly in the coastal area, that would be of great help to the railways, so that the replacement will not take place within less than 8 years. Mobile apps, longest rails, and coastal route for domestic transportation. Mobile apps for steel trading, taking steel far off areas in Northeast. E-Rakam online platform for agricultural products are few of these initiatives. It's very surprising to me, and you may also feel surprised that industry is looking after agriculture. But it is just by chance when one of our PSU started E-Rakam in Northeast, they found that there is a great demand of the farmers of Northeast states. So they made sure that this platform should be exploited to the hilt. And now we see that the results are coming. Farmers, small farmers, ginger and all that, they feel so much satisfied with the use of this platform. And we ultimately decided, you may go along with this, your steel business, but this sector should also be taken care of by you. So these are some of the things which one can't think and still becomes useful. I would urge steel companies in India to make concerted and coordinated efforts to associate themselves with government schemes aimed at inclusive growth like Pradhan Mantri Awas Yojana. You must aggressively market steel intensive houses and buildings. You will get a new market for steel, and we will move closer to our goal of housing for all, because the three important features for one's house is it is durable, the completion time should be not that much lengthy. So if you have the steel house, only things are to be erected, that's all. And also, these houses would give a lot of comfort to the poorest of the poor. And if he wants to have something new, he wants to dispose of that steel, he will still get about 50 to 60% amount which he spent on that. So these are the schemes we want to have, that the state government should also give priority to this. And this can be only through you. I mean, the steel producers and especially the integrated steel plants, they may have more influence on state governments to plead that this kind of housing, this kind of houses are better for the common man, those who are the beneficiaries under an SCC. So things are looking bright and positive. If you see the NPA's resolution, steel companies are leading the list of companies being ahead of finalization of process. Banks are getting much better returns than they expected, but I would still maintain that as far as contribution, I should not say contribution, but the secondary sector, where NPA are negligible, rather there is no NPA as far as in the correct sense. Banks are still waiting in the wings to see that whether we should go, whether we should not go, what would be the result of the NPA's resolution. But I must say that the way secondary steel is improving, and not only in quantity and all that, but by putting up this BIS standard for all the one of the mention in your presentation, I could see till now we have put 86% of the total products under BIS, maybe of integrated steel plants, maybe of steel, secondary steel. So that also gives confidence to the banks that as far as their material, as far as their production, as far as their products are concerned, it is as good as the best product can be of any Tata or Naveen or. So it will trigger major shifts of existing trade flows of steel and steel products globally. Currently, there is a trade war-like situation in the world, which I mentioned in the early of my speech. Although US decision to impose 25% tax on steel production will have negligible direct impact, as India's share of US steel imports is very small as compared to other countries, but there might be indirect impact. The countries which are currently exporting to the US will be forced to look at other major steel consuming markets like India to sell their surplus, and is likely distort our domestic markets considerably due to dumping. Also, prices will remain under pressure, which will affect the realization and export margins due to decrease in volume and prices of exports of the companies. One of our honorable delegates, he was making a mention to this effect that they had the best period for 8-9 months, but now for the last 15-20 days, the prices have gone down to the extent of 7,000 to 8,000 per ton. So this is how the trade is important. This is how this conference is important. This may be led to overcapacity at world level, as also less scrap availability for India's US companies may use the scrap in US for itself. But I can assure you that the government of India is monitoring the developments, including our Commerce Ministry, our Ministry for External Affairs, and our steel ministry, we all three, we are monitoring and keeping a watch on the developments, latest developments, and will take appropriate interventions whenever it would be required. And all of you are welcome to come forward with any idea on our proposal, at least on this current issue, which is of great concern for the steel industry. Your proposal or your idea which can help Indian industry grow faster and perform better, and the word which I used, steady, let us together make and steel for Make in India. Thank you very much.